Okay, join. This book. Ready? Okay, ready to roll. We are online. Okay, so hello everybody. And so I guess I should make this announcement again about the Vyasa Puja, and I'm going to post it right now in case any of you are interested. Give me 1 second. These are the timings for the Vyasa Puja, so any of you who are interested can actually look at them. Okay, so let's have a kirtan. Hold on a second. Let me get my guitar. So tomorrow evening at this time, or the same time that we're on right now, we're going to be starting the Vyasa Puja for Fiji, New Zealand, Australia, South Pacific. And if you want, you can join us, but it's going to be specifically reserved for those 3 places. And the timing is in the chat window in case you are interested. And I'll also be sending it out again on WhatsApp. But let's chant a little bit now. Let's see, what should we chant? Okay, yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Om Vishnu Paramahansa, Gloria, His divine grace. Chaitanya Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadha. Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Swayam Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Ki Jai, Maturidam Ki Jai, Jagadasami Ki Jai, Yamunamaya Ki Jai, Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Go, Hari Hari. All glory is to the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnudaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatarani. All right, there's a message here. Okay, so we're gonna Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shlagya Chakshuram Riditam Yena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So, tonight we're going to continue with our reading of the Sri Caitanya Charitamrta from the 16th chapter of the Madhya Lila, and we're beginning with text 160. This is chapter deals with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels to Vrindavan, which he will not be able to make, as we're going to read later on in the chapter. Anyway, his trip becomes short, and then he has to go back to Jagannath Puri for a particular reason, because of the advice he gets from Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis. So let us continue. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, let's continue reading. Dina Katarahi Sandhi Caritamrta Sane Tavi Suke no Kate Karaiva Gamante. Maharaja Prataparuja's government officer further informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he should stay at the Orissa border for some days so that a peaceful arrangement or agreement could be negotiated with the Muslim governor, and that way the Lord would be able to cross the river peacefully in a boat. Sekale se ovanera ekanuchara udiakatake aila kari vishantara. At that time, a follower of the Muslim governor arrived at the Orissa encampment dressed in disguise. Prabora se adavuta charitra dekiya Hindu charaka se avana pashagiya Eka sannyasi aila jagannatha ite Aneka siddha purushaya tanhara sagite. The Muslim spy saw the wonderful characteristics of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he returned to the Muslim governor, he told him a mendicant has come from Jagannath Puri with many liberated persons. Wow. Dhirandharakare Sabe Krishna Sankirtana Sabe Hase Nachigaya Karaye Krantana. All these saintly people incessantly chant the Hare Krishna Maha. They all laugh, dance, chant, and cry. Laksha laksha loka aise tahale ki vare tanre degi punarabi yaiti nare gare. Many millions of people come to see him, and after they see him, they cannot return home. Se sabha lokaya Volera Praya Krishna Kaina Chikande Gada Gadi Yaya. All these people become like madmen. They simply chant the holy name of Krishna and dance. Sometimes they even cry and pound. Barakata nahe tekile se chanti tanara prabhavi nanre ishvara kare manhi. Actually, these things cannot even be described. One can understand them only by seeing. By his influence, I accept him as the Supreme Personality of God. Itakai se charak Hari Krishna kaya Hase kande nachigaya Balera praya. After saying this, the messenger began to chant the holy names of Hari and Krishna. He also began to laugh and cry, dance, and sing exactly like a madman. Etashuni Avanera Manapuri Gela Apana Vishvasudiya Stane Patayela. When the Muslim governor heard this, his mind changed. He then sent a secretary to the representative of the Orissan government. The word Vishwasa refers to secretary. This title is generally found among the Kayasta caste in the Hindu community. In Bengal, the title Vishwasa is still used by the Kayastas. The word Vishwasa means faith, and Vishwasi is a person whom one can place faith. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that during the Muslim reign of Bengal, there was a secretary's office called the Vishwasa Khana. In that office, only the most were employed. They were selected from the Kayasta community that is very expert in managing business and government affairs. So those who worked in the Vishwasa Khana were generally very reliable faithful servants. Whenever some confidential service was needed, these officers were employed. Vishwasasya Prabhura Charana Vandila Krishna Krishna Kahi Preme Vivalaha Ila. The secretary came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he offered his respects to the Lord's lotus feet and uttered the holy name of the Lord Krishna Krishna. He also was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. Narya Hana Udiya Ke Kai Namaskari Tomastani Pathaila Valacha Adhikari. After calming down, the secretary offered his respects and informed the representative of the Arisan government. Muslim governor has sent me here. Tumi Adyagyudeha Itake Asya Yavana Adhikarayaya Prabhuke Midya. If you agree, the Muslim governor will come here to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and then return. Bahuta Utkantatanra Karyache Vinaya Tomasanaye Santi Nahi Yuda Moya. The Muslim governor is very eager and he has submitted this petition with great respect. It is a proposal for peace. You need not fear that we will fight. Shri Mahapatra Kai Anavismaya Madhyapaya Vanerachita Aiche Ke Karaya. Upon hearing this proposal, the representative of the Arisan government, the Mahapatra, was very much astonished. He thought, the Muslim governor is a drunkard who has changed his mind. Apane Mahaprabhu Tanvarmana Piraila Darshana Smaranayanra Jagatarila. It must be Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself who has changed the Muslim's mind. Due to his presence and even due to his remembrance, the whole world is liberated. From this we can understand that since the Muslim governor was a drunkard, but ordinarily there would have been no chance that he would change. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could turn anyone's mind to Krishna consciousness. One can be delivered from material existence simply by remembering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's holy name or by visiting him. This Krishna consciousness movement is being spread throughout the world, but not even one Yavana or Malacha addicted to drinking could have changed and accepted Krishna consciousness without Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's grace. People are often astonished to see many thousands of Westerners converted to Vaishnavism. Generally, Westerners are addicted to meat eating, drinking, gambling, illicit sex. Therefore, their taking up Krishna consciousness is astonishing. In India especially, there is much astonishment at this. The answer, however, is given here. Darshana smarane anra jagatarila. This change is made possible simply by the remembrance of Sri Chaitanya. Western devotees are very sincerely chanting the holy names of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda. By the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, people are being purified and their consciousness directed from Maya to Krishna. Etabali Vishvasere Kahilavachana Bhagyatan Rahasi Karuka Prabhudarashana. After thinking this, the Mahapatra immediately informed the secretary, it is a great fortune for your governor. Let him come and visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Patita Kariye Yani Nirastrahanaha Asiveka Panchasata Vricha Sange Lana. However, let me make it understood that he should come here without weapons. He may bring with him 5 or 7 servants. Vishvasanyana Tanhare Sakala Kihila Hindu Vaishadari Se Yavana Aila. secretary returned to the Muslim governor and informed him of this news. Dressing himself like a Hindu, the Muslim governor then came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Torahite Prabhu Deki, Bhumeti Patiya, Dandavat Karya Shru, Lakita. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from a distant place, the Muslim governor fell to the obeisances. Tears came to his eyes, and he was jubilant with ecstatic emotions. Mahapatra Lila, Tanri Karya Samana, Yurahati Prabhuage, Vaya Krishna Nama. Arriving in that way, the Muslim governor was respectfully brought before Sri Chaitanya. The governor then stood before the Lord with folded hands, and he chanted the holy name of Krishna. Amazing. Madama Yavana Kule Kane Janma Hila Vidimore Hindu Kule Kane Na Janmoila. The governor then submissively asked, why was I born in a Muslim family? This is considered a low birth. Why didn't Supreme Providence grant me a birth in a Hindu family? Hindu Haile Haitama Tumara Charana Sanidhana Vyartamora Hideha Yoga Parana. If I had taken birth in a Hindu family, it would have been easy for me to remain near your lotus feet. Since my body is now useless, let me die immediately. Etashuni Mahaputra Ishtanaha Prabhu Karena Stuti Charane Dariha. Upon hearing the governor's submissive statement, the Mahapatra was overwhelmed with joy. He clasped the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and began to offer the following prayers. Wow. Chandala Pavitra Yanra Sri Namashavane Ena Tumare Jiva Pailadarashane. Simply by hearing your holy name, a Chandala, the lowest of men, can be purified. Now this conditioned soul has received your personal interview. Vinharaye gati hiteki vismaya tumara dashana prabhava himatahaya. It is no wonder that this Muslim governor has attained such results. Simply by seeing you, all this is possible. Yan Namadhiya Shabananu Kirtanad Yat Pradvanad Yat Smarannad Abhijit Swadopi Satya Savanaya Kalpate Kuta Punaste Bhagavan Nudarshanat. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face. Even a person born in a family of dog eaters becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. If he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33:6. According to this verse, it does not matter what position a person holds. One may be the lowest of the low, a Chandala or doggy. But if he takes to chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, he is immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. This is especially true in this age of Kali. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. Oh, Nascheva, 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 Gatiranyata. That, of course, is from the Brihadaranyaka Purana 38, 126, also. Chaitanya Charitamrta, 17th chapter of the Adi Lila, text 21. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There's no other way, there's no other way, there is no other way. Wow. A person born in a Brahmin family cannot perform Vedic sacrifices. till he is properly purified and has attained his sacred thread. However, according to the present verse of Sri Caitanya Charitamrta quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that even a low-born person can immediately perform sacrifices if he sincerely chants and hears the holy name of the Lord. Sometimes envious people ask how Europeans and Americans in this Krishna conscious movement can become Brahmins and perform sacrifices. They do not know that the Europeans and Americans have already been purified by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the proof. Svajopi Sadhya Shravanaya Kalpate. One may be born in a family of dog eaters, but he can perform sacrifices simply by chanting the Maha Mantra. Those who find fault in the Western Vaishnavas should consider this statement from Srimad Bhagavatam and the commentary on this verse by Srila Jiva Goswami. In this regard, Srila Jiva Goswami has stated that to become a Brahmin, one has to wait for purification, undergo the sacred thread ceremony, but a chanter of the holy name does not have to wait for the sacred thread ceremony. We do not allow devotees to perform sacrifices until they are properly initiated in the sacred thread ceremony. Yet according to this verse, an offenseless chanter of the holy name is already fit to perform a fire ceremony, even though he is not doubly initiated by a sacred thread ceremony. This is the verdict given by Gopalati, the mother of Lord Kapila, when he was instructing her in pure Sangha philosophy. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanre Kripa Drishti Kati Ashpasya Kaye Tumika Krishna Mudi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then glanced with mercy at the Muslim governor. Giving him assurance, he asked him to chant the holy names, Krishna and Hari. Now, in fact, that's actually what Chaitanya initiating the Muslim governor into the chanting of the Lord's holy names. Even though there's no sacrifice, but the holy name doesn't require a sacrifice. It simply requires that one hear from the lips of a pure devotee. Of course, here, the Muslim governor is hearing from the lips of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the greatest, well, we could say the greatest pure devotee, because it's Krishna acting as a pure devotee, acting as if he were Srimati Radharani, who was the greatest devotee. It is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy that he advises everyone, even Chandalas, Malechas, and Yavanas, to chant the holy name of the Lord. In other words, one who is taken to chanting the holy names Krishna and Hari has already received Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. The Lord's request to chant the holy name of Krishna is now extended to everyone in the world through the Krishna consciousness movement. Whoever follows Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions will certainly be purified, and one who sincerely chants the holy name offenselessly is already more than a Brahmin. Unfortunately, there are many fools and rascals in India who do not allow Western Vaishnavas to enter certain temples. Such rascals do not clearly understand the Vedas, as stated previously. Yanamadaya Shravananu Kirtanad Savanaya Kulpate Sekai More Yadi Koila Angikara Ekagya Deha Sevakari Tomara. The Muslim governor then said, "Since you have so kindly accepted me, please give me some water so that I can render you some service." So one is purified by following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's orders. That is, by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one must certainly be eager to render service to the Lord. This is the test. When one engages enthusiastically in the Lord's service, it is to be understood that he is reaping the results of chanting the names of Krishna and Hari. Go Brahmana Vaishnave Himsa Karyachiya Para Seva Pahite Mora Auka Nishtara. The Muslim governor then prayed for liberation from the limited sinful reactions he had previously incurred. by being envious of Brahmins, Vaishnavas, and killing cows. Phew. By chanting the holy names Krishna and Hari, one is certainly liberated from the reactions to such sinful activities as killing cows and insulting Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. It is most sinful to kill cows and insult Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. The karma incurred by such activity is very great, but one can immediately nullify all this karma by surrendering to Lord Krishna and chanting his holy name. After being released from one's reactions karma, one becomes eager to serve the Lord. This is the test. Since the Muslim governor was immediately purified in the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could utter the names of Krishna and Hari. Consequently, he was eager to render some service, and the Lord, eager to fulfill his desires, immediately had the devotee Mukundadat inform the governor that there was some service to render. So this is what Mukundadat says. Tavi Mukundadat Kai Shuna Mahashaya Gangatira Yaiti Mahaprabhura Manahaya. Mukundadat then told the Muslim governor, "My dear sir, please hear. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wishes to go to the bank of the Ganges. Tahanyate kara tumi sahaya prakara evaragya evara upakara. Please give him all assistance so that he can go there. This is your first great order, and if you can comply, you will render a great service." Tabi se Mahaprabhura Chalanavantiha Sabara Chalanavanti Chale Varishta Hanna. After this, the Muslim governor offered prayers to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as to the lotus feet of all of his devotees. After that, the governor departed. Indeed, he was very pleased. Mahapatratan Rasane Koila Kula Guri Samagri Dia Karila Mithali. Before the governor left, the Mahapatra embraced him and offered him many gifts. He thus established a friendship with him. Adakale Sebaho Noka Sajana Prabhu Ke Anite Dila Vishwasa Patana. The next morning, the governor sent his secretary with many nicely decorated boats to bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the other side of the river. Mahapatra Chalayala Mahaprabhurasane Lachasi Kaila Prabhuparachana Vandane. Mahapatra crossed the river with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and when they reached the other shore, the Muslim governor personally received the Lord and worshipped his lotus feet. Wow. Eka Navina Noka Taramajye Gara Swagane Jadaila Prabhu Taharapara. One of the boats had been newly constructed, and it had a room in the middle. It was on this boat that they put Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. Mahapatri Mahaprabhu Kadila Vidhaya Kandite Kandite Se Tire Rahi Chaya. Finally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to the Mahapatra, standing on the riverbank and looking at the boat. The Mahapatra began to cry. Chaladashu Vaise Yovana Chalila Dashanoka Bari Babu Sanya Sange Nila. The Muslim governor then personally accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because of pirates. The governor took 10 boats full of many soldiers. Wow. Mantreshvara Dushtamanade Parakaraila Pichalda Varyandase Yovanahila. Muslim governor accompanied Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu past Mantreshvara. This place was very dangerous due to pirates. He took the Lord to a place called Picholda, which was near Mantreshwara. The very wide mouth of the Ganges near present-day Diamond Harbour was called Mantreshwara. Through the Ganges, the boat entered the Rupa Narayana River and reached the village of Picholda. Picholda and Mantreshwara are located very close together. After passing Mantreshwara, the Muslim governor accompanied the Lord as far as Picholda. Tanrivadaya Dila Prabhu Se Gramahite Se Kaletanra Prema Chestana Parivarnite. Finally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade the governor farewell. The intense ecstatic love exhibited by the governor cannot be described. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to the pleasant governor at Picholda. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami herein states that the governor experienced symptoms of ecstatic love due to being separated from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These symptoms, he admits, cannot be described. Alokika Lila Kare Shri Krishna Chaitanya Yeha Shune Tamra Chamadeha Anya. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes are all uncommon. Whoever listens to his activities becomes glorious and his life becomes perfect. Wow. Say no kachare prabhuaila panihati navikere puraila dija kripasati. The Lord finally reached Panihati, and as an act of mercy, he gave the captain of the boat one of his personal garments. Prabhuaila balik loke, aila kolala, manusha barila saba, kiba jala stala. A place called Paniyati was located on the bank of the Ganges. After hearing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived, all kinds of men assembled both on land and on the water. So the village of Panihati is situated on the banks of the Ganges near Kadaha. Raghava Panditasi Prabhulana Kila Ate Lokapi Asti Sishche. At length, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was taken away by Raghava Pandit. There was a great crowd assembled along the way, and the Lord reached Raghava Pandit's residence with great difficulty. Ekadina Prabhu Tata Kariya Nivasa Prate Kumara Khate Ilayahan Srivasa. The Lord stayed at Raghava Pandit's place for only one day. The next morning he went to Kumara Hota, where Srivas Thakur lived. The present name of Kumara Hata is Halisah. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas, Srivas Thakur left Navadvip due to separation from him and went to Halisahara to live. From Kumarahata, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Kanchalapalli, also known as Kanchadapada, where Shivananda Sain lived. After staying 2 days at Shivananda's house, the Lord went to the house of Vasudeva Dutt. From there he went to the western side of Navadvip to the village called Vijayanagara. From Vijayanagara he went to Kuliagram and stayed at Madhavadasa's house. He stayed there 1 week and excused the offenses of Devananda and others. Due to Kaviraj Goswami's mentioning the name of Shantipura Acharya, some people think that Kulia is a village near Kanchadapada. Due to this mistaken idea, they invented another place known as New Kuliyarapata. Actually, such a place does not exist. Leaving the house of Vasudeva Dutt, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the house of Acharya. From there, he went to the western side of Navadvip to Vijayanagara and stayed at the house of Vijayachaspati. These accounts are given in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka, and Chaitanya Charita Kavya. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has not vividly described this entire tour. Therefore, on the basis of Chaitanya Charitamrita, some unscrupulous people have invented a place called Kanchadapada. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami did not elaborately describe those things described by Vrindavandas Thakur and others who were describing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, because he was observing the etiquette of not repeating something that was already spoken, already written. Kahan haite agegela Shivananda kara Vasudeva grihe pache Aila Ishvara. From the house of Shivastakur, the Lord went to the house of Shivananda saying, and then to the house of Vasudeva Datta. Pachaspati Gre Prabhu Hemati Rahila Lokabida Baye Ache Kulia Hila. The Lord remained for some time at the house of Vachaspati, but then, because it was too crowded, he went to Kulia. The house of Vachaspati was located at Vijayanagara, which was near Koladvipa or Kulia. It was there that Devananda Pandit was residing. This information is found in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya Kanda, chapter 21. In Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka, the following statement is given about Kulia. Tata Kumara Hate Shivasa Pandita Vatyam Abhyayo. From there, the Lord went to the house of Shivas Pandit in Kumarahat. Vaitavatim Abhyeja Haridasena Panditas Tathaiva Tarare Vartmana Navadvip Pasha Hare Kuli Kuliya Namagrame Maravadasa Vacha Utirnavam Evam Sapta Dinani Tatra Asti Punas Vartmana Eva Chalitavan. From the house of Srivas Acharya, the Lord went to the house of Dvaitacharya, where he was offered obeisances by Haridas Thakur. The Lord then took a boat to the other side of Navadvip to a place called Kulia, where he stayed 7 days at the house of Madhavadas. He then proceeded along the banks of the Ganges. In the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta Kavya, it is stated, Anyedu Sashi Navadvipa Pume Hare Gangam Paschime Kvapi Deshe Shiman Sarva Tattarangar Nitranandam Samyag Agatya today. The Lord went to the western side of the Ganges at Navadvip, and everyone was pleased to see the Lord coming. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat Anchakanta, chapter 3, it is stated, Sarab Harishadab Sange Shigora Sunda Achampitayasi Utarila Tanragara. The Lord suddenly came to Vijayanagara with a full party and stayed there in the house of Vachaspati. Navadvipadi Sabadike Laila Dvani. Thus throughout Navadvip the Lord's arrival was made known. Vachaspati Gare Aila Nyasi Chudamani. Thus the chief of all the sannyasis, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, arrived at the house of Vachaspati. It was further stated, Anantara Buddha Lokam Hari 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 Chailena Deki Bhare Varanga Shri Hari Matanahi Payakeho Lokera Gahale Avanatala Bangi Loka Dashadike Chale Lokera Chahale Yataranya Chila Jane Ke Sakala Divya Patamaya Hila Jane Ke Aila Sabaloka Kayagate Kayari Karite Para Padila Sankte Satvarya Sila Vachaspati Mahashaya Karilena Nega Nokara Samuchaya Nokara Vikshara Eonahi Kate Nanamati Parahaya Ye Mate Pare Enamati Gangapara Hai Sarvajana Savedarena Vachaspatira Chanana Nukanagela Prabhu Kulia Nagara Kulia Ya I Lena Vaikunta Ishvara Sarvaloka Harivala Bali Vachaspati Sange Sekshane Sabe Chalilena Maharange Kulianagarayalina Nyasimani Sekshane Sarvadike Haila Mahadwani Saviganga Madhya Nadiyaya Kuliyaya Shinima Savaloke Mahanande Daya Jaspatir Grame Vijayanagare Chilaryate Gakala Harakoti Koti Kune Rila Sakala Laksha Lakshanokana Va Hailakota Hite the Jani Kate Kaparo Haya Katamate Laksha Laksha Lokabasade Pase Janavir Jale Sabe Parahayena Param Gutu Hale Gangayana Para Apanapane Kola Koli Kare Sabe Kare Hari Dore Shaneke Kuliagrama Nagara Pantara Paripurna Hailastala Naki Avasara Shaneke Aila Mahasaya Vajaspati Tainho Nahi Payena Prabhura Kotasati Ya Kuliyaya Prakashe Teka Pabi Chila Utabamajimanicha Savipara Hila Kuliyagamete Asi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Enanahiyari Prabhu Nakarila Danya. Now you may ask why am I reciting all that Bengali? And even though you don't understand what it means, some of you may understand what it means, but it's actually quite beautiful, as just said. And it's purifying when you hear it. Like Srila Prabhupada would sometimes comment when devotees leave his room when he was preaching in a different language. He would say, you should stay because just by hearing, even if you don't understand, it will enter from your ear to your heart and purify you. Bhavanti Ridkarna Rasayana Gata Dajoshana Dashopavarga Vartmani Shraddha Ratirvati Anukrameshati. That's what Lord Kapiladev says. That this transcendental sound, Satam Prasangam Mahavirya Sambhado Bhavanti Ridkarna Rasayana Gata Dajoshana Dashopavarga Vartmani Shraddha Ratirvati Anukrameshati. Go from your ear to your heart, and it will enable you to progress on the path of bhakti eventually. In the beginning, of course, having Shraddha, faith, taste, Ratiya, and then ultimately Prema. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at Vijaya Vajaspati's house, many hundreds of thousands of people went to see him and chant the holy name of Hari. It was so crowded that people could not even find a place to walk, therefore they made do by clearing out the jungles near the village. Many roads were automatically excavated, and many people also came by boat to see the Lord. So many came that it was difficult for the boatmen to get them across the when Vijayavachaspati suddenly arrived, he made arrangements for many boats to receive these people, but the people would not wait for the boats. Somehow or other, they crossed the river and hurried toward the house of Vijayavachaspati. Due to this great crowd, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu secretly went to Kuliyanagara. After the Lord left Vijayanagara, however, all the people heard news of his leaving. Since they then accompanied Vachaspati to Kuliyanagara. Since the news of the Lord's arrival was immediately broadcast, large crowds arrived and greeted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great jubilation. Indeed, when the crowd went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it increased 10,000 times in number. No one can say how many people crossed the river to see him, but many hundreds of thousands made a great tumult by crossing the river Ganges. After crossing the river, everyone began to embrace one another because they heard the good news of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival. Thus, all the inhabitants of Kulia, sinful, intermediate, and spiritually advanced, were delivered and glorified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let's see how long this purport is. It's quite, yes, it is quite long. Go back. All right. Let's see. Okay, let's add there. Okay, so we'll end here and we'll take some questions. Let me unmute. Hold on a second. Oh, so let's jump in the question first. So you can ask questions. Let's see. And there's a question in the chat. Whoops. Go for a second. Oh, two questions. Okay. As we heard how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed mercy to, let me expand the chat window a little bit. So, oops. Good to, uh, heard how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed mercy to the Muslim government by asking him uh, to chant the holy name. The ninth offense in chanting the holy name is the holy name. During preaching programs, we share the glories of the holy name where the faith and spirit are also present. Should this be avoided or is it okay? We share the holy name, yes, but we don't share the glories of the holy name for those who are going to misuse those glories. We get everyone to chant, but we don't tell them that by chanting you can continue to do your sinful activities or we're going to get rid of all your sins by chanting. So there's certain things to instruct the faithless. The offense is to instruct the faithless about the glories of chanting. It doesn't say the offense is to give the faithless the holy names. It's a little bit, quite a bit different, actually. So that's the clarification. That one question. Hare Krishna Guru Dev. What was the long script? That was from one of the biographies of Lord Golly. Sword. Check. See, it's really hard to page the chat. No, not really. I'm gonna write up stuff. No, not that. Here we go. That's better. Okay, so here we go. Now I can see it better. It's better to see with right. Bad connection. What was the long script you read about? Just curious. Uh, it, it was one from one of the biographies of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If Kashi used to be full of impersonalists, why Bhubaneswar is referred to as Gupta Kashi? Kashi is not necessarily a place of the impersonalists. Kashi is a place of Lord Shiva. That's the difference. Kashi is a place of Lord Shiva. It's not necessarily the place of impersonalists. There are a lot of impersonalists in Kashi, and there are a lot of impersonalists who worship Lord Shiva. But Kashi is a place of Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee. And there's a whole story when Kashi got burnt up. That's from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. When Kashi actually got burnt up, Lord Shiva moved to Bhubaneswar. But there's no time to tell that story right now. Okay, so we have a question from Shri Radhika. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay, what's your question? I don't think I can hear. Let me see what's wrong. Speakers should be over here. I can't hear your question for some reason. I don't know why. Let me just check this again. Yeah, you're allowed to unmute yourself, and you are. Can you try unmuting yourself again? Asking your question. Yeah, Hare Hare Kshetra is Gupta Pradnava. Okay, sorry about that. So who else wants to ask a question? Anyone want to ask a question or type a question or raise your hand to ask a question? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear anything that Sri Radhika said. So raise your hand or type in a message, or what else can you do? Or just unmute yourself and say something. Oops. Oh, I see. Oh, I see my speaker is, hold on a second. Somehow or the speaker is muted here on there's a sound problem here. Wait a second. Okay, now my speaker is unmuted. Sri Radhika, you can ask your question now. I think I should be able to hear you. No? Still can't hear you. Speakers. No, I can't hear you for some reason. All right, someone else can ask a question and see if I can hear them.
Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
No problem with me hearing. I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, so what's up, Rakesh?
Guru Maharaj, I have a question regarding in Bhakti, we do mad or elephant offense as a devotee.
Yeah.
So my thing is that I think the mad or elephant offense is something very natural. It comes to a person. It's like it's not something we crave for it, but it happens as the bhakti grows. So let's say it happened to me. In my head, I am committing an offense against a Vaishnava. How do I
Why does it happen? Why does it happen as bhakti grows? Why is it a very natural thing? I don't understand
that's my understanding because I wrote it down. Just let me read it out, please. I can't think of it.
It's not a very natural thing. It's actually quite an unnatural thing that we commit offenses against Vaishnavas. I don't really understand why a mad elephant offense is completely natural.
Well, many people are doing it, so I thought it's a natural thing, and we have to watch out for it. I thought it's one of
Yeah,
the
you have to watch out. Yeah, you have to watch out for it, but certainly not natural. It's unnatural. It comes about because of envy. It becomes about because of, just because of your own impurities. If one
just
watches out for it, it's not a natural thing. I mean, it's actually it's coming from the mode of ignorance and passion. So the more you advance, the less you'll be inclined to commit a mad elephant offense.
okay. Let's say since I am in the mode of ignorance and passion, and let's say I commit like that in my head, how do I rectify it? What are the ways I can rectify?
First of all, you're not responsible for what you do in your head. However, if you do it in your head, it may manifest itself. This is Kali Yuga. You're not responsible for anything you think in a negative way. Actually, Prabhupada said that when you think of something negative, you don't get the reaction in this yuga. In the previous yugas, if you thought of something negative, you would get the reaction. But in this yuga, if you think of something positive, you get the good reaction. But if you think of something negative, you don't get the negative reaction. So just curb it. There's 3 stages in the mind. One is called thinking, the other one is feeling, and the other one is willing. So thinking something can happen to anybody. It's unnatural, it's not natural, but anybody in the mode of passion and ignorance. But when you start to contemplate it means meditating on it. That means you feel it. You actually feel the urge to do it. Then at that point, it very quickly becomes willing. And then when it becomes willing, it becomes the mad elephant offense. So mad elephant offenses can be committed with the words or the body. Traditionally, it was mind, words, or body. But because we're in Kali Yuga and people have uncontrolled minds, it's basically only with the words and the body. So just stop it. If you understand, use your higher intelligence. And if you understand that you're committing an offense or you're thinking of committing an offense, stop it. Okay, so Pran Govinda has a question. What's that?
Maharaj, I'm a little bit doubtful on what you are saying. I'm not saying you are wrong, because my understanding is at one level, yes, because thinking is also a form of activity, and every activity comes under the jurisdiction of karma. We are accountable of our thought. That's what I know. At another level,
Kali Yuga is different. You have a special dispensation. Your dispensation in Kali Yuga is that if you don't act on it, I mean, if we had to suffer for every thought that we had, or people had to suffer for every thought they had, nobody would become Krishna conscious in Kali Yuga, except for the pure devotees who are actually descending from the spiritual world. The point is when thinking, feeling, and willing, when we meditate on that, then it becomes something that manifests itself. If something just pops in the mind and you get rid of it immediately by concentrating on something higher, then how can you be held responsible for that? I mean, then nobody could become Krishna conscious basically in Kali Yuga.
but then you say we are expected to take adequate precautionary measures.
Yes, and not contemplate on, because once you start contemplating, thinking, feeling, and willing, then it actually manifests itself. Now, traditionally, yes, offenses were there if one even thought about it, but in Kali Yuga, I mean, who has control of their minds so they don't think something negative about about someone? I mean, who has that sort of control of mind? It'd be impossible to make devotees then. Basically, almost everybody would be breaking the principles. You know, I mean, if people had to get the reaction, you take a vow, 4 regulative principles: no meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. And then if someone thinks about those things and they're breaking the regulative principles, I don't think we'd have any devotees in the Hare Krishna movement.
Maharaj, we may not be held culpable if anger arises within me, but when my culture or our culture is permitted with resentment, hate speech and rioting, I saw in Mayapur one time. So if we give in to that anger and act destructively, we will be held liable.
Of course. Of course. If you give in to it, if there is hateful speech, hateful bodily anger, bodily emotion, or even bodily communication, then you're held responsible. Obviously, if I get, let's say, if I get angry with you, I'm not going to do that. I can't get angry. But anyway,
Thank you.
all right, let's say if you got angry with me, okay.
I
If you
hope
got
not,
angry,
Maharaj. I don't want.
let's say that's easier. If you got angry with me and thought, what a big rascal that sannyasi is, then there's no reaction for that. But if you don't cut it
No,
off,
Maharaj. No, Maharaj. I don't agree. I don't want ever to. Please bless me. I never want to think
anyway,
ever
so
anything.
the funny thing is, above your objections, if you didn't cut it off immediately, then it would show in your body language, and that would be something that would be on the verge of offensiveness, yes. Or if you said something to me or something to someone else, then that would also be. Of course, you can't commit offense against me. I'm not a Vaishnava. So wait. Now
Maharaj.
let's take a theoretical Vaishnava. Let's say Bhakta Prema Das, whatever his name is. If I think let's say he looks funny. He only shaved half of his hair off, and the other half has hair on the other side of the head. If I think he's weird, that's not an offense. But if I express it and he's a great devotee, then that's an offense. But as soon as it comes out to some external expression, whether facial expression, body language, then offenses start. Or if I say something, or if I hit him, that's even worse. But
So
Kali Yuga,
should I conclude that we may not be responsible for the occurrence of bad thoughts within us, but
as
we
long
are
as we don't,
responsible for the dominance over us?
yeah, as long as we don't, it doesn't influence our behavior or speech.
I see. Okay.
That's
Thank
the
you.
point. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a single devotee. Prabhupada would probably be the only devotee in the Hare Krishna. Prabhupada and you would probably be the only
No,
devotee.
Maharaj, can you bless me to be humble, at least one drop of your humility?
I get you tricked me this time. I could bless you to be not like me and be humble. Okay. All right.
You
Just
have unparalleled humility.
one other question here. I mean, it's actually getting too late because I got to do something here. Hare Krishna, when three modes of nature act on a person, he is forced to act and commits a sin. It seems that no, a devotee is not forced to act. A devotee has higher intelligence. You can control your senses. That's blaming the three modes of nature. You have a choice. You can choose not to act. If you think the three modes of nature are responsible, then why should you get a reaction? If the three modes of nature are actually making you do everything, you're obviously not responsible. So it's you who chooses. One more thing, one more question, then I have to go. What is a nice way to I said one more question. What is a nice way to balance compassion to your loved ones? And sometimes one is harsh with loved ones. What is the way to know or show loved ones that we went through what we went through? Express your feelings and needs. Read my book about feelings and needs. About people who are not spiritual. People who are not spiritual, we have to give them the holy name so they can become spiritual. We should be merciful, get people to chant somehow or other. Don't explain exactly everything about the chanting, but somehow or other trick them, get them to chant the holy name, then they will become spiritual. Dina hina yata chilo harinam rilo. And I have to end. Yes, I will pray to the Gurudev, can I pray to the illusory energy that I can become Krishna conscious? No, pray to Krishna and Radharani and Lord Chaitanya. Where does it ever say that you should pray to the illusory energy? I mean, if Durga's a pure devotee, but Prabhupada has not given us instructions like that. We pray to Krishna, Radharani, our spiritual master, Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, Panchatattva,